Well, good day to you. This is Grandpa John, and today we are going to replace the front brakes and rotors on a 2013 Ford F-150. It is the 3.5 liter V.6 Ecoboost, and you can see here that the rotors are really bad. I mean, there was no brakes left to this. It was grinding into it. I got grooves, and so they need to be replaced. So let's kind of dive into it. First thing you're going to do is you need certain tools. And so you need a breaker bar or an impact wrench, a torque wrench. You're going to need a 21 millimeter socket as well as a 13 millimeter socket. And then you're going to need something to compress the pistons. So get a tool for that. And then I've got here the torque specs for each of these, as well as other supplies you're going to need. Like, for instance, you need some brake cleaner to clean off the rotors. You're going to need some Seal Glide for the slide pins for the calipers, some brake parts lubricant. You're going to need, of course, safety goggles because you got to be safe just in case something hits you in the eye. Then you need a bungee cord or some kind of a caliper hanger to hang the caliper up while you're working on the brakes. And then a wire brush because you're going to need to clean up all the rusty metal that are on the calipers. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing here we need to do is try to position this camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. But you want to take out the caliper guide pins. These are going to be 13 millimeter sockets. There's one here at the top. And I'd already loosened this up because I already took it apart and cleaned it. And then I decided I was going to video this for you. And then there's one here down at the bottom. So you need to take your 13 millimeter socket and go ahead and break those loose. They shouldn't be too difficult because they're only torqued down to 27 foot-pounds. So here we can just pull that sucker out. There, that one's going to be removed. And then you can't see in the camera here. I got to move it a little bit. There you go. Okay, I'm going to try to hold this while I take that out. Look at that talent to hold the camera at the same time. All right, now I need my other hand. Oh, there we go. Let's pick that up. And then you need to have I have a caliper hanger, which is super handy. But you can use a bungee cord. Just be careful with it. You want to take the bolts out, and then you need to, again, these are 13 millimeter bolts. Take the hanger, get something like this. You can get it on Amazon, wherever, but you want one of these. And then put it in there, and then I usually hang it up here on the spring, the strut, essentially. Hang it up there, and make sure that the hose for the brake fluid is not pinched, which is not. But look at those brakes. Wow, they are just worn out. Gosh. Anyway, the second thing you want to do is we want to take out the caliper anchor bracket. And this, you're probably going to need a breaker bar, because the torque spec on this is crazy, 184 foot-pounds. Look at those brakes, though. Totally worn out. I can't believe it. I can't believe I waited that long. I didn't know they were that bad. But anyway, they started squeaking. And, of course, now I have to replace the rotor, too, because the metal was just digging into it. Okay, so here we've got, we need to get the caliper anchor bracket loose, and that is a 21 millimeter socket, which is the same as your lug nuts, by the way. Anyway, and get that one out there. There's one at the top as well. I'll try to get an angle for you. You can see it. You can kind of see it. Pull that out, or pull it out. You know what I'm saying. Use your socket wrench. Get it out of there. All right, so we're pulling it out now. And now the bracket is loose, so we can take that off. And we're going to have to clean that up with a wire brush. And then now we need to take the rotor off. This came off very easy, which was beautiful because I've had them stuck where they're rusted on there. And in this case, I didn't have to use it, but there's 2 holes here on the rotor for bolts where you can, if you have to, you can push or get the bolts in there and it'll pop it off. All right, so then we need to clean all the oil and everything off of the rotor. And so use some brake clean, make sure you have safety goggles or glasses, make sure you're not breathing it, make sure the wind's not taking it. It's kind of some nasty stuff, but it works really well. Go ahead and spray it on there and wipe it all off and get it good and clean, which I'm doing here and getting that lovely. Okay, now it's done. Now we need to go and we're going to go ahead and put the rotor back on. So to do that, just make sure you're not grabbing the rotor. If you can, keep it clean. Use the edges or grab the edges, put it on there. I usually will take a lug nut and go ahead and secure it on there so it'll make it easier when you're going to go ahead and put the caliper anchor bracket back on. So get that tightened down. We're all good there. Now, I've already compressed the piston here. So pistons, I should say, it has 2 on the truck. And you need to do them at the same time. So you need a way to compress them both. And so for me, after I compressed it, clean it up, get the rust out of there. Make sure that the seals are good around there, the gasket, whatever they're called, around the pistons, and these look pretty good. But what you're going to want to do is grab the old brake pad, and then the pistons are going to be farther out, of course. So I've already compressed them, but you're gonna want to do these at the same time. Take your brake pad, put it in there, and then you want to take your compression tool, and you're going to push that against the pistons. So let's get that one. Like, for instance, you would have one here, and I got to get it adjusted right, but get in there, get it tight on the one, and then I just used another clamp to do the top one at the same time. So get that good and tightened down, and then basically I would tighten the top one here, and I think that's what I'm saying, if you could see what I'm saying. And then you do the bottom one a little bit, do the top one a little bit, and just keep working it. All right, now after you've done that, let's go ahead and put this bracket back on here. And again, you're going to need 21 millimeter. You're going to do this in reverse, so go ahead and put that on there. I just hand tighten it, trying to get a better angle for you so you can see what you can't really see. So, all right, let's go ahead and do the bottom one first, since that's where my camera is. So let's get that pushed in there. And hand tighten that, get that started. We're good there. All right, let's go ahead and do the top. Hand tighten that as well, just to get it started. And then, I forgot to tell you, I forgot a step. When you have that bracket out, you need to clean the caliper guide pin. So pull it out, wipe it off, get all the bad goop off of there, and then take some Sil Glide and put it on there, and then put it back in and work it. Make sure it works freely back and forth, and you'll be in business there. Okay, now we need to tighten these bolts up. So I'm going to go ahead and just tighten this up with my socket here. Boom. Tight. All right, it's good. Let's do the top one up there. Get that good and tight. All right, now we need to torque this down, and it gets torqued to 184 foot-pounds. You heard me right, 184 foot-pounds, which you can go to like O'Reilly's or AutoZone. A lot of times they'll have a torque wrench that can do that high, but most only go to 150 foot-pounds. So I just took an impact and I just beat the crap out of it till I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. But you could get a torque wrench and do 184 foot-pounds like you're supposed to do. Okay, we're going to resume this on the left-hand side since my camera angle was really bad on that side. So we've got the bracket on, torque that baby down. Now I'm going to put the hardware in. So these will just snap on there, and they're kind of a pain in the rear. You could do this before you put the bracket on there. I probably should have. I usually do, but I didn't in this case, so I'm just doing it while I've already got it put back in place. So as you can see, it's kind of a pain. So, it kind of hurts your fingers a little bit. And you just got to be persistent, and they will snap into place. You'll hear them snap. There we go. And then once we've done that, get all these in place. The top one here. Got to struggle with that one. A lot of fun.
Last one here.
All right, got that one in there. All right, then we got to do the last one. Same thing. You feel a little lip on there, and then man, I'm gonna pull a muscle in my finger. To snap. There we go. All right. Now you need some brake parts lubricant, and just put a dab. And make sure you don't get it on the rotor, so be kind of careful. I'm just putting on the edge, and then I'm going to take my finger and just work it on that hardware. This will help prevent the squeaking, and they'll move well. But make sure you don't get on the rotor. All right. Then let's take the brake pads, and I put that same lubricant on the ends of the brake pads, and let's position this right. I don't know why I can never figure out the puzzle. It's like, oh, which way does this go? Oh. Anyway, it goes this way. Put the bottom in or the top one in first. Kind of, sometimes you got to slide it in and then dink, right there in place. Beautiful. These were some of the easiest brakes I've ever had to do. Man, sometimes they're just a pain in the rear, but these are actually really easy. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other one, except on this one, since this is against the piston, I'm going to put a little bit of lubrication on the back of the brake pad as well, on that metal piece, so that it doesn't squeak. Make sure you don't get the ceramic, get any lubricant on the ceramic itself. Otherwise, then you gotta go clean it again. It's kind of a pain. So we'll snap this in place. Boom. Beautiful. Now we just need to put the caliper back in place. So I'm going to take this. I've got this one on a bungee. But the bungee, you got to be careful. Make sure you don't do anything to that brake hose. But let's pull that out. Make sure you pull it out first. I've never actually driven off with it on there before, but I've almost done that before. So make sure you pull the bungee cord out from your suspension. I'm going to hand tighten this. Let's put this baby on. Again, these are 13 millimeter bolts. Just going to hand tighten that. And then these are going to be torqued down to 27 foot-pounds. So tighten it real quick with my tool. Just kind of, hand tighten it essentially. And then I'm going to torque it down 27 foot-pounds, which is not a lot. And sometimes these don't cooperate, and you have to have a crescent wrench to hold it so it doesn't spin. But on these, this worked great, and so I was able to tighten it, no problem. Then we move on to the bottom one, get that all torqued, no problem. Then after this, you just need to put your tire back on. Those lug nuts are going to be torqued to 150 foot-pounds. And then you're going to start your car and pump your brakes a few times. Make sure that you have good pressure. If you don't, and your foot keeps going down to the floor, then certainly don't drive the car because you've got air in the line and you need to bleed the brakes. Okay? If you like this content, then please like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.